a hard season's racing, there's nothing better than getting home. To put your feet up by the fire. To look forward to some quality Christmas television, like The Sound of Music, The Great Escape. And of course, Morecambe and Wise. And then you remember you've got children and they've got video games. Mind you, it's not necessarily all bad news, because... kids! I've got the Antiques Roadshow on upstairs. Yes! Some of the latest games provide some pretty realistic indoor motorsport. Game consoles have come on a bit in the last couple of years. Their graphics and detailing are now almost on a par with those available on home computers. You can set up things like steering, tyres and transmission to suit your personal preference. Crashes make you feel like you're having a crash. It rains and it feels like it's raining. And you get to race on real racing tracks. In order to get on board and start lapping up the action, you'll need to begin by getting a console. Contenders ready?
3, 2, 1, go!
Now this Sega Rally, this is something we've all seen before. We all know how to play it. It's been around for what seems like ages, and it's still great fun to race on. But the cars are now getting a bit out of date. This steering wheel just adds that lovely touch of reality. It's these jumps in the Sega Rally that make you feel as if you're right on board. Oof! You almost feel the bumps, but it comes back down to earth again. But my time's up. Time's up? What do you mean my time's up? I haven't finished yet.
On your mark.
This karting, like the Sega Rally, really does get you involved. It gets you racing against the competition. And whilst you don't need to brake hardly anywhere, which is not that realistic, and I keep changing my view because this thumb where I've got the throttle is right next to the view change, nobody seems to brake for any corners, and we hit each other all the time. Oh. The only problem is it sounds like I'm racing a sewing machine. I think I've just finished second. I'm getting better. Right, now we've moved to the Nintendo 64 console. We've plugged in F1 pole position. We've plugged in this Gamester steering wheel, which gives me pedals so I can accelerate and brake just like a real Grand Prix driver. And I'm a bit disappointed, to be honest. The graphics are a bit dated. There's no real warning of where the circuit's coming. It's nothing like as much straightforward fun as that Sega was. And the skill factor is a bit of an applied art rather than anything that would come naturally as a driver. I spent more time bouncing off the walls than staying on the track. It's just not a very sophisticated game. I'm glad real racing isn't this difficult. Right, onto the Sony PlayStation. I've got a Mad Cat steering wheel and pedals, and with this F197, I can start playing and drive around without falling off on every straight. I've got brake marker boards, I've got good graphics, and it's just not oversensitive, it's sensible. You can drive this car. The only thing missing is a good onboard view, but the driver lineups are exactly as they were this season, and the tracks are absorbingly realistic and require maximum concentration. This is just qualifying. Probably the most realistic of these console games that I've discovered is this latest Touring Car Championship on the Sony PlayStation. Well, I've got a sequential gearbox, just like a real thing. And when you go on board with the driver, every time you punch for another gear, the hand comes off the steering wheel to change. Mind you, the other strange-looking hands. Come on, Warwick, get out of my way, come on. Down to the hairpin. Fourth, third, lock over, power on. You clip the curb, the car rocks and broncos. If you go off onto the gravel, there's noise underneath. And when you start hitting Tim Harvey and Paul Radisich, there's lovely fender bending noises. And it really is just like touring cars. But however realistic these computer games get, they'll never be quite the same as the real thing.